Did you guys know that most businesses don't actually know who their top customers actually are? Isn't that crazy to think about? Do you know who your top customers are? Now, I think all of us probably have an idea of who our top by definition of revenue customers may be, and maybe you don't. But that's kind of the goal here, is we need to figure out who in reality our top customers may be. Because when we know that, then we can really get into operating inside of our zone of genius, or our sweet spot, as it's called in the pumpkin plan. And operating inside of our sweet spot is really going to give us an idea of how to grow our sales. So we've been kind of in this mini series here, again, about how to grow a quilt shop, right? And it all has to stay. There's the four building blocks. You've got to have a solid foundation. You've got to have predictable cash inflow, and you've got to have stability and efficiency. And today we're going to talk about all about that cash inflow and how to make sure you get predictable cash inflow. So my name is Jacob Curtis. I'm the founder of Curtis Accounting Solutions, and I serve quilt shops. Honestly, I talk to them and we figure out how to best get the quilt shops up and running. And so we go through this little series of steps to get things going. And so today we're going to talk about, like I said, all about creating predictable cash flow and what that actually is and means and how we can interpret that. So predictable cash flow is an important part. Now, when we mean predictable cash flow, what that really means is we're going to be operating inside of our sweet spot. And our sweet spot is made up of three distinct things. The first one is a unique offering. You got to have something a little different, a little unique than your competition. You've got to know who your top customers are, and you've got to have some systemizations in place to actually grow your quilt shop, because that is probably one of the most important things that you can have. Growing a quilt shop is a struggle if you don't have these things and understanding what they are. So we're going to talk a little bit about our unique offering. Now, a unique offering is something that you offer, that you love to offer, that you have, that you actually that is guided really by your immutable laws. It's something that you're really good at. Okay, it's something that you understand uniquely, and that you do just a little bit different than them. Because better is not better. Different is better. Okay, when it comes to marketing and ads and having a unique offering, you've got to be different than your competition. If you're doing the exact same thing as every other quilt store out there, you're all just blending in and you're all fighting over the exact same customers because you all do the same thing. But as soon as you can set yourself apart and do something a little different than them, that is where you can be. Now, a unique offering doesn't necessarily have to be something different than what they're offering, right? Everybody offers the same general services or products, fabrics and notions and classes and things like that. Your unique offering is how you put your unique spin on it, what you do that's a little bit different than what everybody else does. And you want to make sure you understand what that is. And figuring that out it can sometimes be a challenge. But what I found to be most helpful when trying to figure out something that's a little unique is really you got to dive in and figure out, well, who are my top customers and what are they actually looking for and needing. And so so that leads us into the top customers, right? Talking about who top customers are. Now, top customers may not be your top grossing customers. Your top customers could be somebody who comes in frequently, but they don't buy as large of an order card or something like that. Top customer evaluations are really cool to do. And I want you to do this. So in your system, if you have a POS system, hopefully you have this. I know Like So has a top customer report. That is where, if you're using Like So or Rain, that's where you want to start. Or if you're using Shopify, look at who your top customers are over the last 12 months and export a report of your top customers by name, by most revenue. Because to be honest, dollars are our scoring or our point system, right? If somebody values and appreciates what you do and what you sell, they're going to pay you. Simple as that. So that is the easiest metric that we can come by. And so we're going to export the list of the top 20 or 30 that people have paid you over the last year, and you're going to then dive into a whole bunch of other factors. There's the cringe factor, for example. When you see their name pop up on the caller ID, or see them come into the store, or see their order come through on through the internet or something. If you can recognize them or you see them, then you'll know exactly who it is. Now these are real people. What we're going to do is we're going to take these 20, we're going to distill them down into one top customer avatar, so you can replicate and find more similar top customers. The way to do that is just by doing an analysis on your top 20 and figuring out who they are. You got to go know their demographics, where they're located, what they're looking at, what projects they're buying. Are they buying kits versus just yards of fabric versus patterns? What are they buying? Try to find the similarities in these top 30 people. And then figure out what it is that they're buying exactly. Once you do that, you can really pinpoint down and see what they are and go from there. And so once you know who those are, you're going to actually call and talk to, in person or via Zoom, or I guess you could do it via phone call, your top 10, okay? And you're going to talk to them, and you're going to ask them some pretty specific questions about the quilting industry. You're not going to ask them hardly anything about your shop specifically. You're going to ask them about the quilting industry. What do you think, for example, you're going to say, what do you think would be great for quilt shops to have or quilt shops to do? What do you think is the worst thing about them? If you had one thing to add to the quilt, to a quilt shop, to the quilting industry in general, what would it be? What are the things that you want to see improved? And anyway, I have a list of those, and I'll put those out there for you, of questions to ask during those what I call the wish list top customer interviews questions. So once you've got, once you get those answers, you're going to analyze and look at those answers, and that's going to help you narrow down and figure out what your unique offering actually is. And so we've checked off 2 of the 3 circles and then we're going to add in the 3rd circle, which is systemization. Now, systemization it doesn't mean add systems to everything, even though you've already done that. It does mean add systems, but not software systems necessarily. They just could be standard processes, your SOPs, standard operating procedures, right? You want to be able to have those in case a key employee, such as yourself, is unavailable, and you want to make sure that your business can run unabated without you or them in the way. You want to make sure you can get that predictable cash flow coming in if somebody's out and can't fulfill orders or can't talk to the customers or something like that. Because systemization is all about that. If you don't have any employees, you're the one-man band, you know that you're limited to how much you can actually do. You're limited to how much you can actually make, right? Because there's only so many hours in the day, and so whatever it is you're working on or not working on limits you. So time is your factor there. Well, the way that we get around time is by 1, adding employees, and 2, adding software to help us get above our what we can do as individuals. So once you're operating in all 3 of those sections, you know who your top customers are, you have a unique offering, and it's working. That's a trick key. That's a key part, not a trick, but that's the key part of understanding that. You know what your unique offering is. Part of that unique offering is understanding what your area of innovation is. We had a blog post about that a little bit ago. And then systemization. So once you know what all 3 of those are, you're going to be operating probably pretty close to your sweet spot, which is really where you want to be, because that's how you're going to be able to turn up the marketing or the ads or something like that to find your top customers, which are really going to bring in the revenue, the predictable cash flow that you're looking for. So that is like the key thing we go through. If you need help with that, please let me know. Again, go to Money Made Simple. That is my program that we go through as a group to get you better, to get you growing, to get you where you want to be, to have that financial peace and freedom that you have. So go to curtisaccountingsolutions.com/MMSA, and I look forward to seeing you in the academy. Thanks. Bye.